Oh,
Hi.
hey, Nick. Hold
Yay.
on 1 second. I have to.
Oh, you're fine. Oh, was there and wasn't. What happened? Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Is
Give me
everybody
one
here?
second. Give me
Let
one
me.
second. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not getting it through my.
Don't you love technology?
100%.
I don't, and I shouldn't be starting a podcast at 45 when I don't understand what the fuck I'm doing. You know, that's fine.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Well, I can. I don't know. I don't know who's speaking.
Oh, this is Paul.
Okay. I'm like, who's the disembodied voice?
Well, thanks for having us, Nick.
Of course. Is
Okay.
Pablo there too?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I am here. I'm Pablo.
Yeah. I'm Nick.
Hi, Nick. How are you? And
Nice to meet you.
there's no video, right? I just want to make sure.
No, no video.
Okay.
I know I probably should. I know everybody does that, but I don't know. I like to do it real simple. I don't even edit my stuff. I just record it and put it out into the world.
Lovely,
Sounds good.
lovely.
So, because it's less. I feel that if I put too much time and effort and it becomes a chore and it's tedious, then I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So,
Yeah. Editing can take a very long time. I spend a lot of time editing hours.
yeah. I tried once and I was like, nope, I'm not doing it. Maybe later. I don't know. We'll see. But well, thank you for being on. I'm excited. I've been telling everybody that I was gonna have you on. I just where did the name for your podcast come from?
Oh, Paul, you want to
It,
take it?
yes, I'm pretty sure I was the one who came up with it. I had an idea for starting a horror podcast, and I was drunk on Halloween one night, or right around Halloween, and I texted Pablo, and Pablo and I used to work together. I
Mm-hmm.
We weren't at the time anymore, but obviously stayed friends. And I was like, "Girl, you like horror movies? I like horror movies. You want to start a gay horror movie podcast? Do you like podcasts? Also, it's called Scared Gay."
That's
And
amazing.
I was like, fucking sign me up. Why haven't we started it already? Let's
Yeah.
fucking do it. Wait, can we cuss?
Of course, you can.
Oh.
Hell, I talked about. I recorded one earlier and talked about getting fucked up the ass the first time. So yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
great. Very similar
I
topic.
know. Yeah.
Child childhood memories.
Oh, Dad.
Oh, Dad. Oh.
I wish he'd come back from getting cigarettes.
I
I
know. Why?
know.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's what really happened. Maybe he didn't die. Maybe he just left. Oh,
Oh
kidding.
shit.
I
Okay.
know, I'm kidding. I'm going to
Yikes.
hell. I've said so many terrible things and they've been recorded today. I said things about anal sex. I said things about Jesus Christ, and now I'm talking about my dad. I'm on a roll.
But I'm being yeah.
It's
I'm
a
here all
perfect
night, folks. I'm here all night.
But
trifecta, nice little holy trinity of
I
offensive
know.
Whole
comments.
But
eternity.
I'm here with, I'm drinking my sleepy time tea in my scream mug and I have candles and incense going.
Ooh, so
I'm created a
romantic.
mood.
You are. You're seducing yourself with stories of your family. I love it.
Cue the song
uh,
Touch Myself.
R.I.P. She died. Sad thing.
I
Oh.
know. R.I.P. Oh, heart.
Where did the
Uh,
name from your podcast come from, if I may ask?
so I feel like you probably either had him on your show or you've been on his show. Ricky from Rick or Treat.
Yes,
Oh, Ricky.
very. Yes, we love
I,
Ricky.
l- I love him so much. He's great. I did his podcast for Pearl or for X and for Pearl,
Oh, nice.
and then I got kind of bit by the bug, and I was like, well, this is kind of fun. And then I talked to him about it. I said, well, maybe I should start one. And he's like, well, what would you talk about? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I like I like Madonna. I like Halloween, and for the past 3 years, I've written a book about my childhood trauma. And he's like, call it Tramadonna. I'm like, perfect.
I love that so much.
It's all in the name.
I'm a big Madonna fan, so the name definitely stuck out to me.
I'm a
Yeah.
ginormous Madonna fan. I have 9 Madonna tattoos
Oh
so
my
far.
God. I'm
But I've
seeing
never-
her. I'm seeing her in February. I actually have a funny story about how my mom, my sisters, and I are going. So my family's Southern, and growing up, I lived in South Carolina in the summers, and my cousins are rather conservative, and
shocker.
but I always had a bit of a flair, if you will. And one of the things that I was obsessed with as a little kid was the Blonde Ambition tour, because my sister had it on VHS.
Yeah.
And my cousins would, have since made comments about, me dancing around, rolling on a pool deck, showing them how to do the Like a Virgin dance. And they're all like super religious. Like my uncle's a minister.
Yeah.
And so it was always interesting. And then the other day, I wake up to a text message from my cousin who I haven't spoken to in a long time. And she was like, hi, Paul. I was thinking of you because I was in a store and there was a little boy singing and dancing to a Mariah Carey Christmas song. And it reminded me of you when you were singing along to Madonna. I hope you're doing well. And I was laughing hysterically. And I sent that to my mom and my sisters in our group chat. And an hour later, my mom was like, I'm buying tickets for all of us to go see Madonna in February.
Aww.
That's amazing. When in February?
Damn.
I'm not sure. I want to say the 26th or something.
Damn.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was gonna say, did she have to take out a second mortgage on the house for those tickets?
They're our Christmas gifts.
Well, depending on where you're sitting. I mean, we got VIP seats, so there's that.
I don't know if my mom sprung for VIP seats, but I know that she did not want to buy cheap seats. So I think it's probably somewhere. So I believe we're on the floor, but I don't know how far back and everything. And like I'm so excited to go like with my sisters. Like I actually have a sister named Donna, and she was the big Madonna fan, and then my ass can still do the Open Your Heart choreography from the Blonde Ambition tour. I was serious. My sisters are 16 and 13 years older than me. So I was literally a child and like just singing and dancing around like a little homosexual. And so it'll be really fun to go. I'm just very surprised. My mom, she's 74, and she's like, I'm totally down. I want to go. And she's like, but you can't wear anything that's going to embarrass me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't even know what I'm going to wear. My jacket I bought that I've wanted since I was 12. I got the Blonde Ambition bomber jacket.
Aww.
It was really expensive.
You should wear her outfit from Express Yourself, Don't Repress Yourself video with the cornrows.
Aren't white people not supposed to do cornrows?
Madonna did it.
I know, but that was a different time.
Are you talking about you're talking about in the Human Nature?
Human Nature,
yeah. Yes, Human Nature, yep.
Also, I'm not quite skinny enough to wear a vinyl cat suit. I'd have to wear a lot of Spanx.
Be fierce, own it. Be fierce, own it. Love it. Love yourself. Show off your curves, girl.
I did buy the tank top that from John World Tour that says motherfucker in rhinestones, so I may wear that.
Ooh, do that.
Nice.
So it depends. My show's April 1st, which makes me nervous because I'm like, are they going to cancel? And just like, haha, April Fools.
Oh, shit.
Oh, that's a good point.
No, because originally we were supposed to see her the 5th of September, and then everything got moved around. I mean, obviously, and for good reason. But
and you're seeing her in Atlanta, I'm assuming?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
Cute.
I'd like to travel, but it's just very expensive. I have a lot of friends that go and like follow her around, and I'm like, I don't know what their credit card statement looks like, but it's probably really scary.
Oh, that must be, yeah. Oh, well, let's hope they have lucrative OnlyFans.
Yeah, I know. That would be, yeah.
That's how
But
you.
I don't know.
That's the only way to support yourself these days.
Yeah. Sell your farts in a jar. People make a lot of money doing that.
Well,
Like a lot of money.
didn't somebody try and sell a contact lens that went to the Taylor Swift concert? I think they did. They're like, this contact lens saw Taylor Swift, and I was like, really? And somebody probably bought that.
Wow. But it's Taylor Swift. No offense to Swifties. They're gonna attack us. We love Taylor Swift.
I
She's
like
fine.
Taylor Swift.
It's funny because my
Okay.
last guest, she's a huge Taylor Swift fan, and I always give her shit because I always like throw shade at Taylor, and she messages me. She's like, "I listened to your episode." I'm like, I
Oh
mean, it's all in
shit.
fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
For sure.
I'm
So,
also a very big unapologetic Britney fan.
yeah, I like Brittany. I don't have an issue with her. I tried to read the
No.
book, and it was good. You know, I didn't. It was weird with Michelle Williams narrating, though.
Yeah.
Oh shit. That's
I don't
right.
know.
I don't know. I cried about 3 or 4 times during reading the book,
Yeah.
but that's just me. She is my like, I feel like every, all gays have their own divas, and I think
Oh
mine
yeah.
is split between Britney Spears and Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh, I do love me some Buffy.
Oh, by the way, Paul, Sarah Michelle Gellar has been hanging out with all the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I'm
Uh-oh.
hoping they give her a contract.
Oh my God. I don't know if I
You
want her on that show.
Yeah, yeah, Pablo, we were texting about that. I would fucking love to see her on that show, and I mean this with like, I just don't think she would be very exciting on the show because she's just seems like such a pure, nice
She's just
person.
very
She's
down to
had her
earth.
Right.
shit
Well,
together.
I would love to see her as a friend of, right? Because
Yeah.
like as a friend of, they don't need to go into your life and you don't need to do all this stuff. You just like show up, you're there, you can have fun, you can enjoy the cast and the trip, but you know,
Mhm.
like you can be a little kooky, you can be a voice of reason, you can be something, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'd like that. She's a really good friend to Selma Blair, and their
I
friendship
love
is
her. I love Selma Blair
adorable.
so much. That
Yeah,
documentary was so good.
oh yeah, talking about like crying the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. I don't know. Yeah, I Sarah Michelle Gellar would be cool. I'd like to hang out with her. I think she would just be like cool to like have some like tea with or something.
Totally.
I don't know if she's really, a tea girl, but Um, it's funny because okay, so I guess without giving too much away, I work in the entertainment industry, and so one of my last jobs, the show that I was on, Anya was on it. I didn't get to meet her, but I kind of freaked out for a little bit because
Oh,
I was
oh,
like, yeah,
Emma Caulfield. Oh, that's so
mhm,
cool.
yeah.
Nice.
Pablo doesn't watch the show. Just so you
Oh,
know.
okay, okay.
Sorry.
If I were a Buffy character, I'd be Anya for sure. I totally would be a vengeance demon.
Pablo, we so need to get you into it because I think that there are certain things
I've
you're
been
gonna loving about
saying,
it.
I've been
Well,
saying, you guys need
mhm,
to people need to get me into it. I've been saying like Buffy gays. Where do I start? Buffy gays. Where do I start? Like,
episode number
you
one.
know, I don't
No,
know if I
it's real.
could. Like,
It's easy.
Pablo, I've told you before, like, I think there are a few episodes in season 2 I would start with, or certain episodes in season 3. In my opinion, seasons 2 and 3 are kind of the peak Buffy. Uh, Not peak because like I love the 5th season too. I just mean like if you're looking for like truly what Buffy is, season 2 and 3 are really the foundational. It's her last 2 years of high school, so I think that probably plays into it. But it's just that's really when the show hits its stride.
Hmm.
yeah, okay. And like, okay, I will be completely honest about this. Like, um, one of the things that like why I think like especially a lot of high school things that are set in the high school are really kind of hard for me and really challenging for me is like I am like this is not an experience that I've had, and it really like it's kind of like watching Friends when you're a person of color and you're like
Mm.
this is the most foreign like thing to me, right? Like I know we're in the United States, I know all these things, so a lot of these references, a lot of these modes of interacting with people, a lot of the fashion, a lot of the lingo and vernacular and all that stuff really kind of speaks to something that it wasn't something that I was accessing at the time. And so like even in high school, like shows that were high school set, I was like, okay, I'm like my friend group, even like I lived in Modesto and my parents are
Aw.
pretty like upper middle class, right? Like
I'm
I
a Bay
grew
Area
up in the
boy too.
Oh
yeah,
yeah?
yeah. What
Yeah.
part?
We all are.
I was born in Concord, and I grew up in Oakley and went to school in Brentwood at Liberty.
Damn.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. I
Yeah.
I off mic, I'll have to ask you. I know a few people that went to Liberty.
Oh wow. But like
Oh
I
shit.
graduated in '96, so that was
Oh, okay, well
I
maybe.
don't know how old y'all are.
I
I turned 40 next week.
Yay! Happy early birthday.
Thank you.
and
But yeah,
I'm
like
I'm 34.
Oh,
yeah,
you're a
he's a
baby.
baby. Baby. But that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of these, like if you're gonna if I'm gonna have to get into it, like I'm gonna have to link into something. So like a good one that has like a lot of like fun supernatural elements I can get
Yeah.
into as like I'll talk with some of my friends like I fucks with, like I can get into it, but like I'm still kind of like I mean, I remember when it came out and I was watching it and I was just like, oh, it's a lot of I had friends who really liked it, and a
Mhm.
lot of friends that were like, "Oh, it's hard for us to like get right." It really felt like it was speaking a different cultural language, and
Yeah.
that's the only thing, and that's something I've experienced with a lot of like high school themed films and all that stuff. So I'm like, it's not speaking to my experience. So I'm always
Yeah.
kind of like roll my eyes at it, but because Paul loves it so much, and I respect Paul's tastes a lot, I'm very excited to give it a try.
Yeah.
I just hope, and I'm just gonna say this here, I just hope no one gets like weirded out if I'm like, yeah, it's all right. Like it's there. Like
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know if it's for me,
You
but
don't
I
have to
really
love
want to
it.
like I really want to give like a few episodes a try because
Yeah.
also like I randomly like random ass stuff. Like, like if it's I loved I am a big fan of like the like ease of which you could watch iZombie on like the
Oh yeah.
CW.
Yeah.
So if it gives that kind of vibe, which is all like I'm all
Kinda.
for like a bit of a soap opera, I'm all for some
Yeah.
melodramatics, I'm
Yeah.
all for all that stuff. And like supernatural and all that shit. Like if I
Mhm.
can get some of that, like I think it'll be like having like a fucking grilled cheese sandwich where you're like, this is nice, it's nothing complex, nothing complicated. I'm
Right.
good. Right. So whatever is like easiest for me to be like, oh, now I get like the vibe. Now I can start on episode 1 and go
Yeah.
through.
Just don't watch
So
the episode called The Body the first out of the gate. Just don't watch that one to start with.
Yeah,
no.
it's
Yeah.
a very traumatic episode. It's honest. It's
I
Pablo.
can't
You
watch
actually
it.
would really like it,
Yeah.
but you need to watch the rest of the
Yeah.
series first. It's a
To kind of
very
understand.
It's
exactly. It is a wonderfully one. It's one of the best episodes of the
yeah.
series. It's just
Okay.
very traumatic.
It's
Okay.
amazing. I can't watch it because of my mother because it's way too close to home. So I'm just like, nope.
Mm.
But it's really good. I don't know.
Okay.
My thing with the show is that it has to make me laugh, make me cry, and have really good music, and that was for sure Buffy. And
Oh
it
yeah.
was smart. It was smart humor. It's not just like stupid, like filler or fluff or anything like that.
Yeah, it was on UPN, right? Or CW?
It was
Or
on WB and then
WB,
Yeah,
sorry.
it
Yeah.
switched
Okay.
around, I think.
Jumped around.
It was
Okay.
so weird watching it though when it was first on, and so many like cliffhanger moments. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say anything because it'll totally ruin it all. But
Yeah.
it's weird now because it's like we don't have that as much. Like everything just drops immediately, and we can just instantaneous.
uh with like streaming services and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's like
Yeah, for
you
sure.
used to have to wait like a week, and it was like those water cooler moments at the office. Like, oh my God, did you see what happened on blah blah blah? And
I
like the
I can't wait. Yeah.
yeah, there's like
HBO
a
Well,
Max HBO Max still has
still
some
does that.
like
oh true.
I was just recently watching, my partner and I were obsessed with it. It was called Love Has Won, The Cult of
Oh,
Mother
it's so
God.
fucked up,
Oh my
so
god, I
fucked
want to
up.
watch that so
It's
bad.
so good, but it's so fucked.
It's so fucked, but after each like episode I was like, "Oh my god, I want the next one immediately."
Yeah.
And I had to like absolutely like triple promise my partner I wasn't going to watch it before they could.
You know
Yeah.
who does a really good job also with like leaving you on cliffhangers and you're just like, "Oh my god, we're just getting to the part and I have to wait till next week." All of the Real Housewives. I'm just
Oh my
putting that out
lord.
there.
Oh my lord.
I'm just putting it out there.
I think I've only watched that once, and I watched it when they did Atlanta just to like kind of see like, oh yeah, I know where that is, but like it's I don't know anything on Bravo really. I can't. Sorry.
Oh, Pablo,
Yeah.
she's a big Housewives fanatic.
Yeah,
Yeah. Uh,
I know. And
yeah, a little too much.
Connoisseur, I would
yeah.
maybe say.
Well, and
Historian, really.
also like I can't stand I know he's not one of them, but Andy Cohen, I cannot stand him. So
Oh, a lot of
he's
people
an
have problems with they don't
well,
like him.
he's an
Yeah.
asshole, especially the way he treated Kathy Griffin, both him and Anderson Cooper. So they're dead to me.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
for
love
sure. I will.
Kathy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so funny. I was with a client today and I was like doing all the workouts, he decided to put like a Kathy Griffin special on and fuck,
Nice.
oh my God, we need her back on everything. I
She's
miss her on
amazing.
everything.
I know.
I
She was
follow
so
her on
funny.
TikTok and she's great.
Yeah.
I can't do
Okay.
TikTok. I think I'm too old or something. I've tried. People send me videos. I'm like, no.
There's a lot of fun stuff, but yeah, I still have a challenge with like keeping up. I do follow this wild family polyamorous wolf pack, and it's like, okay, no, it
Wow.
gets crazy. I don't know if I've sent it to you, Paul. It's like this like tall, lanky, skinny redhead dude, and he's alpha. His sister is beta. Beta's fiance is delta, and then the girlfriend that the sister's fiance and alpha share is baby husky, and they are intense. And like I follow them all the time because all they do is talk. Like the brother licks the sister's face all the time and they're like constantly doing weird stuff, and like she farts on his face and then he starts screaming like stuff like, everybody, I'm not wearing a dress, I am a man, a real man is an alpha, I'm wearing a wife beater and jeans.
Wow.
Stop telling me I'm wearing a dress. And it's like every other video is that or him yelling for people to stop telling him that aliens are real.
Oh my
It
God.
is juicy as fuck. I have to send it to you guys.
Yes,
And I swear to God.
please send it to me because I was here. I'm like searching
Oh.
polyamorous wolf pack
Oh my
on
God.
TikTok to see if I can find it. But
I
I'll just wait for you to send it to me.
There is some drama going on, and that's all I'm gonna say because I'm just gonna say that. I don't want them to come after me because
there's
they're always like, "We take care." Yeah, it's wild, wild, wild.
TikTok.
I
Oh,
oh sorry.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Nick.
No, I was just gonna say I have too much polyamory in my world. I'm not polyamorous, but my roommate is, and a lot of people I know. So I call myself I'm the mayor of Hollywood.
Oh my
It's
God.
wild. It's wild. I'm just like, this is I'm just like, got my little clipboard. I'm like, we're having an orgy on the Lido deck. Um,
Ha!
Just cash.
yeah. So I mean, I understand the whole terminology, but I don't feel like there's as much yelling in in my world.
Right? Yeah.
But it is weird because there are certain people that I meet and they're like, oh, we're in a triad or we're in a polycool or we're in this, and I'm like, say what now? I'm like, I actually have to stop them and like have them explain things to me, and I'm not being silly and like knocking them. I'm just curious because I'm always, you do you. I just want to know, like, I guess why and what brought people there and what makes them tick. I don't care about the what; it's more the why, I guess. So,
Yeah, it's very fascinating actually. I have a really close friend who's polyamorous, and we've talked about it. And in grad school, the school that I went to studied a lot, or at least a lot of the professors studied a lot about relationships. So one of the big things we talked a lot about are open relationships and like the efficacy of like open relationships and monogamous relationships. And then we talked a lot about poly relationships. And
hmm
in all those discussions and in everything, I've kind of come to the conclusion that polyamory, I should say, is like a form of sexuality. Like some people are heterosexual,
hmm
pansexual, asexual, and like and somewhere along that kind of lines like polyamorous, which is like the ability to kind of have attractions and amorous relationships
hmm
for multiple people. And like it's funny because when I talk to my friends who are polyamorous and they're describing it, I'm like, yeah, is this really something that like lives inside you? This is something that really is like how you interact and
Yeah.
move through the world, right? Including like how you view like friendships and how you view all these things, right? There's there's times and places where it's appropriate, and there's times where I would say it's not, just like anything else.
Right.
Whereas like other friends that I know that are more monogamous leaning, I'm like, yeah, that actually makes sense to me too. Like I get, like I see how this is how you interact in the world, how you express and receive love, and you do this, right? So
Yeah.
it's
I
it's
mean,
all fascinating.
I'm definitely of the mindset of, if it's making people happy and they're not hurting
Yep.
anyone and they're all consenting
Yeah.
adults, like
Yeah.
all the power to them. I'm certainly a monogamous person. My partner and I are in a monogamous relationship. Well, how fun it would be for me to be Paul the polyamorous, uh, just for the
But if you think
alliteration.
about it,
No, it would be
Jess,
like Paul and the letter E, amorous.
yeah. Well, Jess, no, actually, Jess is polyamorous because he's in love with, or they're in love with Paul.
Oh. No, and
Anyway,
I don't have an issue with it. It's
Yeah.
interesting. I've dated poly guys, and it's very difficult because I've dipped my toe in the water. But the one guy I dated, he had a wife and a girlfriend and a child, and just all this. And I was like last on the list, and I was like, I feel like I'm not dating anyone. Um,
Yeah.
it's a
I
lot of
tried it.
juggling.
Yeah, I tried it, and I realized like the reason I was doing it was for reasons that are not because I'm polyamorous, and so I was like, oh, I don't think it's working for me. I'm actually trying to escape something rather than build connections. And so like,
Right.
yeah, yeah,
yeah, I tried an
that
open
was mine.
relationship similarly to you, Pablo. I think I did it honestly to kind of fix a relationship that was spiraling downhill. Uh, and when really the reality is the relationship probably should have ended, but we decided to try an open relationship. I
Yeah.
hooked up with more people than they did, and then I was the one with the problem with it. And I like had like
Yeah.
emotion, like I was in tears, felt guilty.
Yeah.
But it was I can totally see how it works for some people.
Yeah.
But just for me, no, I'm
Yeah.
far too needy,
Well,
demanding
I
of
mean,
attention.
yeah. Well, I mean, like you could be polyamorous and still have some form of monogamy,
Yeah.
and you can
Well,
be,
what do
and
they
so
call
like,
it? Ethical non-monogamy or something like that. Which, I
yes,
mean,
right,
the,
and like it's like I have multiple partners, but we are insular.
yeah,
That's the thing. It's funny because like Chris and I are talking a lot more now about like the boundaries of our relationship, and um we were like realizing like we don't think like monogamy is for us, but we also don't think like an open do what you want or whatever
yeah.
is for us either. We're like we really need to find what really works because we want to like it's gonna sound so gay. As a Sagittarius, I love tasting the fruits of everyone's
You're
labor.
such
Oh
a
my God.
fucking god.
No, but
And like,
like
you are a fruit.
for real. Thank you. No, but it's just like,
Mm,
like we want to kind of explore and see what's out there. And we just don't, we need to make sure that we're constantly like focusing on each other and checking
Yeah.
in
It's
and for the
so
most
much
part doing it
communication.
together. Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
and every relationship needs communication, right? Like I
Mhm.
think, you know, I hear a lot of people say, oh, it's so much communication to do this. Yes, but you should always be communicating
Yeah.
regardless of what
Yeah.
your relationship is, right? It's communication that breaks
I
down.
know.
Like if when the once the communication breaks down, the relationship breaks down.
Yeah. I know. Like I started talking to this guy. I guess we've been talking about a month or so, and we've hung out. We haven't had sex. I mean, it's just I don't know. We met on that Sniffy site, which is so funny. I hate the name. It's awful,
The name is
but
vile. The
it
name
is
is
vile.
absolutely
Wait,
repugnant.
Paul, do you remember the one they were trying to get here called Blowy?
Oh my God.
Yes, I remember those. Or
What?
I think that sounds very familiar.
Yeah,
That's
like
wild.
that's another
Blowy
one.
sounds better than Sniffies, though.
Yeah. No, I know.
Sniffies,
I hate it.
I
It's
don't get the
awful.
sniff. To me, when I think sniffies, I think like, oh, so you just want to hang out with other people that have the same flu as you and like quarantine together? Like, is that what
No,
sniffling?
to me,
Like,
it's
okay.
like sniffing somebody out like a dog, like like catching their
Ew,
scent.
no. Ugh.
I look at it. I look at
Stop.
it.
Stop.
I think
Gross.
it's like I think of it more of like breaking into your room and stealing your dirty underwear and just smelling it.
I mean, what's wrong with that?
No,
Ew. I
or
No,
mean, you know, we
but
don't
or
get,
just a
hey,
lot
consensual.
of drugs.
Consensual.
Nick,
What?
if scat plays your thing, like
Oh no, not
I ain't gonna poo
no,
poo on that.
no. Oh my lord.
Oh, if you
Yeah,
want to,
no.
if you want an episode specifically on scat play, Pablo is your.
That is not my fetish. I'm just,
That's
I
not.
find
It's
No,
it
not. It's
intriguing.
not.
No, not even close. But I find it
it
so fun
yeah.
and intriguing. I
It
have
is
a
it is
lot of that.
interesting. Like okay, so I was invited to a gentleman's house, and
A gentleman
I d-
caller.
yes, and it's funny because like I'm a sexual person, but I'm also just very like kind of I'm an Aquarius, so I guess I'm just like off in my own world.
Hmm.
And he took me down to like where like the secret room was or whatever. I didn't realize it was a secret room though. So like he takes me down like to the basement area, and like I'm all like tripping out because he has all these books, and I'm like, oh my god, he's showing me his library, and I got all excited, and then he like kicks the bookcase, and like it opened up, and I was like, oh, and it was like a bed with like rubber sheets and like mirrors on the ceiling, and they had one of those fucking chairs, like
Oh,
the
the
rim
rim chair?
yeah, but I'm like, not everybody uses it for rimming though, and I
Oh
was like,
no.
oh, I know what that's for.
See, I am curious how you handled that because if I had been in that scenario, I would
I
have been
didn't get in
like,
the rim
"This is it."
chair.
I was like, well, just seeing the door open into that room, I would have been like, "This is it. This is
This
how I
is where
How I
I
die."
die.
die.
Yeah. No.
Did I
Yeah.
tell you? Did I tell
Uh-uh.
you? I had a client a long time ago. I had a client who grew, this is very wild. And it's not my story to tell, but here it goes.
Yay.
He grew up in Wisconsin in like the 70s and 80s,
Oh my
and
god.
coming up, and he was like going out at like when he was in college to gay bars, and guess who he befriends in
Jeffrey
Milwaukee, sorry,
Dahmer.
and Jeffrey Dahmer.
Holy
And
shit.
he befriends him because one of his friends had like was like doing something with him, like it was like kind of cute, but they were all freaked out by him. He actually says like Jeffrey Dahmer was the type of person, like once he enters the bar, like the air gets sucked out and people were
Mm.
like extremely terrified and no one knew why. So uh
Mm.
he um they go to college, and like he finishes college, and the first, like the day he graduates college, he moves, or the day after, a week after, he moves to San Diego, and he's in San Diego for a while, and he hooks
Mhm.
up with this guy, and he was like telling me, he's like, Pablo, you had no idea, I met this guy, he was so attractive, like so attractive, he was so impressive, he had all these things, but everyone kept telling me, do not hook up with him. This dude's fucking crazy. But he was so charming and he was so hot and he had like this interesting life. So I hook up with this guy,
Mm.
and he's like the sweetest guy. But the moment we get to his apartment, he like closes the door and they're about to have sex. And he's like, I've never seen someone flip. He was like, he went from like super hot, charming guy to now the energy felt like Jeffrey Dahmer because and the reason he said Jeffrey Dahmer was like the day that I moved to San Diego was the day that Jeffrey Dahmer was arrested. So all my friends were like, dude, Jeff got arrested. And he was like, you'll never guess who that guy was. And I was like, who? And it was Andrew Cunanan.
Wow. Oh my God.
He was like, I had to like Andrew Cunanan had to go to the bathroom, and he was like, I literally like used his phone, called my friend, and I was like, I'm at Andy's, and then he said they called him Andy's, like, I'm at Andy's place. I live here. I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen, but like, can you just like be somewhere nearby in case I have to run out? And he was like, the sex was good. And he was like, I was done. But he was terrifying. Like he was like trying to strangle me and shit.
Wow.
Well, I was like,
wild.
fucker.
Oh my
I was
God.
like, to have those stories.
That's so crazy. Yeah, I always wonder sometimes because, like, I have my moments. I do hook up, and then there are days when I'm like driving over there, and I'm like, "Is this it?" And and then it's fine, but I'm like, I don't know. And then I just have these scenarios in my head. I'm like, well, what would I do?
Oh well, we all do like the same thing of being like when you're messaging someone being like, you're not a serial killer, haha, assuming they're just gonna be like, no, it's gonna be fine. I've definitely texted friends before 2:00 in the morning being like, hey, if you don't hear back from me, I'm at this address. And then they'll wake up in the morning to that text, and then 19 minutes later, okay, I'm done.
I know. God, yeah. I do that to my roommate. I'll give him the address. Actually, one time he looked up where they were living, and he's like, that's a really shitty neighborhood. You're not going. I'm like, okay, thanks. Thanks, Dad. And I didn't. But like, yeah, I do that all the time. And it's funny because I think the straights marvel at how quick and efficient we get things done. I mean, especially a hook, because they're like, oh, it's been like 15 minutes. You're back home. Like, just around the corner, and it's not like we talked or anything.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, I prepared at my house. Like, we're good.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, but yeah, it is scary. I mean, because it does happen. It is scary to think, like, when I was 23, I drove from California to Tennessee to meet my ex, and like, I mean, we were together for 6 years, and obviously it worked, but I had never met him, and just drove out to see him like blindly, and I was like, he could have been a serial killer.
Wait, back up. Okay, so tell this story. How did you meet this person?
Wait, what?
You drove?
Yeah, no, okay, so I met my ex on this website that's no longer, it was called gaygoth.net.
I love it.
And so we started talking, and then we talked on chat, and we talked on the phone for like 2 weeks, and I was like, you know what, fuck it. And I just packed up the car and drove, and I was like, I'm going to come see you, and I did. And, I hung out for 2 weeks, and then went back home, and then a few months later, I moved out here, and and I will never move for a guy again, but, you live and you learn. Yeah, and it's funny because I just think about that now, and I'm like, how, I don't know, naive and just kind of blind was I? I mean, because it could have been really bad.
Yeah, for sure. But, were you guys around the same age, or was he like substantially older? Oh my God! Hopefully he wasn't substantially younger.
No, he. I think he was a couple of years older.
Okay.
Like, I think he was like born in 74 or 75, and I'm 78. So
nice.
Yeah, I don't know, but now he apparently lives in Texas, so there's that.
I wonder if he listens to this podcast.
I don't know, but it'd be really interesting if he did. I don't really give a shit if he did. And I don't know, it's weird. That's the thing with age, is you get older and you realize that there's no bad guy, and you're kind of both the bad guy at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's
for the most part,
humility.
Like 99% of the time. Yeah. There's always like, well, there's always like, this crossed the line, and now no matter what you do, you're the bad guy if this happens, or like, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's weird because I mean, I realized when we met, I was 23 and I had no idea who the fuck I was, and I thought I was all had my shit together and was independent, and
Oh yeah.
I lived at home and I had a trust fund. I mean, I don't anymore, and that's another story for another time. But you don't
Hmm.
you don't give a 21-year-old a lot of money. That's all I'm saying.
No.
Fair enough.
Especially a
Fair
spoiled
enough.
21-year-old. I didn't get my head out of my ass until I was like 30. Like I lived at home. Everything was kind of taken care of. Um, I'm the youngest of three, so I was like the spoiled baby. I was the kid that like threw himself down in the store because I didn't get what I wanted, and it horrifies
Fun.
me. So I feel like I've been paying that ever since. Paying for
Oh
that.
shit.
And it's humility. I mean, I think that's like that's what's important is you got to be humble and you got to be human and not the moment that you think you're holier than thou and that you're the shit that's when things go sour.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. The world, the universe has a way of checking you.
Yeah, and it needs to.
Yeah.
I'm so much happier in my 30s than I ever could have been in my 20s and
Oh,
everything.
wait
And
till
I
your
just really
40s. 40s are great.
awesome. My mom
Really?
constantly tells me that if she could be one age forever, it would be 35. So as I'm approaching
Hmm.
that, I think for her, that's her kind of like, I think where
That's
she
where
was in
everything.
life. And then I keep making jokes with her. I'm like, oh, is that because I wasn't born yet?
I was gonna say, it's like, how old were you?
Oh
How old
my
was she when you
god.
were born?
My mom had me when she was 39.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And she had my little brother when she was 45.
Wow. So
Oh.
so you understand what it's like to have old parents then, because like my
Yeah.
mom was 36 when I was born. So like everybody's like in high school, all their moms were like and dads were super young, and I had this old mom.
Exactly. Yeah, and my mom definitely, and she had my eldest sister at 23 and then my youngest brother at 45, and like so she
Jesus.
by the time with me and my little brother, she was like and she was a businesswoman or is a businesswoman, and she was like, I have zero interest in being part of the PTA, doing any of
Yeah.
that. Like she
Shit.
definitely removed herself from that.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
See, if I did PTA, I'd be like Nicole Kidman's character in Practical Magic.
I love it.
That would be me. And I'm also a natural redhead too, so I think that's spice.
Love.
Oh.
So I'm curious
Love.
because back to horror. What are y'all's favorite horror movies?
Hmm.
I can,
Paul.
yeah, I'll go first. So it's a toss up between Scream and Halloween. I think that I'm pretty like I think that is a very common answer, and I
Yeah.
wear the basicness with pride. But those really are two of the movies that really kind of really solidified my love for horror. I watched them at
Hmm.
an egregiously young age, but they weren't the first horror movies I ever saw. Actually, the earliest horror movie I can actually remember watching is Candyman when I was like
Oh
3.
yeah, love it.
And but I those movies really kind of like drove it home for me and really made me become the horror geek that I am today. I'm a huge slasher fan. But I also in my later years have gotten really into like found footage films as well. I like a lot of
Oh
the
wow.
like supernatural ones, but yeah, if you had to, if I wouldn't be able to pick one over the other.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say toss up between Scream and Halloween. Turn
Nice.
it over to
Hmm.
Pablo.
Yeah, for me, well, I love the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's just pure chaos at all
Mhm.
times, and I fucking love that. I typically love horror films that are really, really fast paced and like it's just like an assault of your eyes and senses. So I love that, and you know where it's like the villain and the violence and the aggression and all that stuff really is relentless.
Mhm.
So I love like the I love a lot of the new French extremity stuff. So I loved High Tension and Martyrs and like Trouble Every Day and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Just because they're intense and they're insane, but they're also surprisingly a lot smarter than like people would think or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
So I love that, and I also love like high camp. Like, give me fucking
Mhm.
Drag Me to Hell, give me Frankenhooker, give me all
Mhm.
that stuff, and I'm
Yes.
here for it. It's so much fun. It's so dumb, but so good. So I
Mhm.
love all that. What
Yeah.
about you? Are you a fan? I take it you're a fan.
I
Like,
am a
I've seen your
horror
account.
fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny though because like I feel like I have a different like I like horror mostly. I love psychological horror. I like
Hmm.
horror that's possible. That scares me. So
Yeah.
like the gore and the cheap shots, that's like it's fun, but it's not like it doesn't freak me out. Like it would still one of the scariest movies I've ever seen, and I don't know if it's necessarily horror, but Silence of the Lambs.
There's, like, I
It's a
think the
debate.
community, yeah, it's debatable, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a wonderful film. I mean, it could do better with its,
Oh, I
queer
know. Yeah,
representation, but it's a great film.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely of a time, and I think that if it was made now, it would be different. And I think that things like that are kind of important because it's almost like a benchmark of where we were versus where we're at now.
Yep,
Totally.
100%.
And I love things like I do love Candyman. I love both of them.
Me too. They're both so good.
I was worried about the newer one because I was like, please tell me it's not a reboot, and it wasn't. I was like, thank God. It's
Right?
so
Yeah,
good.
it was really good.
Yeah.
And then I love it's not a horror movie necessarily either, but I love The Cell because it's so fucking beautiful.
The Cell is I do like that movie. I find it very entertaining.
Yeah.
The plot is a little bit like, and
Oh
there's some
yeah.
all over the placeness, but you're
I
right. It
know.
is a beautiful. The guy who directed it, he's like
Tarsem Singh.
he's
Yeah.
a movie he's a music video guy though.
Yeah, he did
Wasn't that his like claim to fame?
I think
Uh,
REM Losing My Religion, right? Maybe? No.
I think so, but he's done other ones, like he's done Selfless, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did The Fall, which is
That
beautiful.
was
His
really
movies
good.
his movies are definitely visually like
Oh
wow,
yeah.
like style over substance
Right.
for sure, but
Right.
so much style that it kind of is injecting a lot of substance, right? Like it's just like
Yeah.
wow, you can't help it. But yeah, he does really beautiful things.
Yeah. And then I love things like I obviously love the Scream franchise. I have a very unpopular opinion as far as my favorite Scream movie.
Is it 3?
What?
It's three, yeah, it's three. It's
Oh,
Parker Posey,
interesting.
god damn it, and it's just
I do love Parker Posey.
I think it's so campy and it makes fun of itself and it's so like it's very like Scooby Doo, like heightened, just I don't know. It's wild and I love it. I mean I do love all of them. And then Courtney Cox's bangs.
Oh, those bangs. She'll never live those down.
God, those are a character in
I
themselves.
know.
But
But it's got
everyone had those bangs. Courtney
yeah,
Cox,
yeah.
Josh Hartnett, and Josh Hartnett again, and it just seems like Courtney Cox and Josh Hartnett.
Yeah. I know, but it's I also I do love the campy side of horror though. Like I love Elvira. I have an Elvira tattoo on my leg.
Oh,
Love
great.
it.
So I love that stuff and like, shit like Death Becomes Her and
So
just
good.
all of that kind of that vein. It's funny because the first horror movie I ever remember watching was probably the gayest. Um, the first I ever remember was Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Oh, I can.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. What was
So that
That's
probably
fun.
makes a lot of sense. But
I grew up with cousins who loved forcing me to watch stuff that I probably shouldn't. So
mhm.
like I was like 3 or 4, and like one would hold down my arm and leg, the
Oh
other
my
one would hold
god.
down my other arm and leg, and then another one would hold my eyes open and they would make me watch like Faces of Death.
Right.
And like
Wow.
I remember they did that. This I remember the first like one of my first memories of like, oh, this isn't good is when they held me down and they made me watch I believe it was American Me, and it was really so. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's like a movie about like Latino gang members.
Isn't that like Edward
And
James Olmos or something?
I believe so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Okay.
like at the beginning, there's like one of the beginning scenes, and they did this because they were like, let's see how Pablo reacts to this. And I was probably like 5 or 6,
Mhm.
and a woman gets gang raped by a bunch of men.
Oh, well,
And I'm being held down by my cousins, and they're laughing as I like, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this, and they're like,
God,
you're crying.
wow, that's fucked.
Yeah, they're
Not
the sweetest
childhood.
people now. I know,
I
right?
I had zero supervision. I was allowed to watch basically whatever I wanted. Also watching it with my mom and everything, going to theaters and seeing movies. My mom, like one of her favorite movies is Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Coppola one.
So
Yeah.
good.
And I fucking watched that movie a lot as like a little kid, and a girl is getting raped by a
Mhm.
wolf creature,
Yep.
and
Right?
like there's just a lot there. My watching Candyman though, and like my
Mhm.
sisters were the same way as Pablo's cousins were. Like my sisters would kind of make me watch like Friday the 13th and like
Yeah.
all of those, and kind of got me into it. But I ended up just really, really liking them. But
Yeah.
I was 3 years old, and my sister was babysitting me, and she was like, she would have been like 17. And we go to the movie or to Blockbuster, and she's like, she wanted to rent Candyman, and she's like, you pick out a movie, I'll let you rent whatever you want, but you have to watch this movie with me. And I rented The Adventures of Little Nemo in Slumberland, if you've
Oh
ever
my
seen that
God.
one.
Oh yes, that was
That's
And
cute.
cute. Oh.
that movie is also fucking terrifying at the end when he goes to Nightmare Land. That's a whole other story. But then my sister's like, okay, we're gonna watch Candyman, and she puts it on. 5 minutes in, she fucking falls asleep, and
Oh my
I'm
God.
just sitting there. Just imagine like a little blonde,
Oh.
traumatized, borderline toddler just sitting there. And then the movie ends, and it goes through the credits, and then the videotape goes to the very end, and the screen goes blue, and I'm just sitting there terrified, like too scared to wake my sister up, and just kind of like eye twitching.
Oh my God.
Everything.
Yeah. I see. We were raised Baptist, so we weren't like we weren't supposed to watch things like that. But I mean, I had older siblings, so obviously they did. So like, I just watched whatever they'd watch, and I watched a lot of shit that I shouldn't have. Like, I remember seeing Pink Floyd's The Wall like super young, and that's not a kid's movie
Not
whatsoever.
at all.
And just so many like fucked up things. And my brother and sister loved horror, so I think that's probably where I got that from. They love like super gory stuff though, and I mean it's fun. That's not my
For sure.
jam, but I definitely appreciate it, and I love the world, and I think it's interesting now that there's so many people that are doing podcasts and talking about it, and I like it, especially with the queer aspect of horror. And um, I don't know what's that one that was on Shutter, Queer for Fear.
Yes,
That was
Queer for Fear.
so
Yep.
good. It
it
was so
was
fucking
Yeah.
definitely a
good.
good docu-series. Yeah.
Yeah, just the whole because there's a lot of things that I never really thought about, like like as far as like the Wolf Man. That's like a very much like a closeted, only in the full moon can he come out, and then he becomes this animal, and it's just like, and I even thought
And then
about it.
he's cruising in the park.
Yeah. Yes. And then like even like the Disney villains, because I'm terrible and I play that Dreamlight Valley game.
Oh
But
God, I love it.
but Scar's in it. I'm like, Scar's a big old gay lion, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, actually, all the villains are pretty much gay,
Oh yeah.
and it says something because it's that fear of the the queerness, and also the owning your sexuality and being something
Hmm.
other than the norm. Um, so it's like it's interesting, but it's also it like kind of pisses you off when you think about it and you explore like why these are the villains.
why is the villain always queer
Yeah.
coded? It's
Well,
Yeah.
very
yeah. I mean, like one of the things that I think is actually really beautiful about horror, and a lot of people kind of tend to overlook it, is horror has a way of kind of putting up a mirror to like our culture, like as like a culture or a society, like our fears. And it also, and because it does that, it gives us the ability to explore
Mhm.
ourselves, what it means to be human, what it means to be alive, what it means to experience things, and what it means to experience fear and want to stay alive.
Yeah.
So for a lot of history, queerness has been othered, and therefore for a lot of movie, especially horror history, queerness plays as a villain or the
Mhm.
story of something coming out inside of you at only this times,
Yeah.
or something that you experience is the repression of it all, right? I mean, obviously, like the Hays Code really kind of fucked
Oh
up how you can
yeah.
tell those stories,
Yeah.
but I think that's something that I think is really beautiful about horror. Whereas like comedy is great, but comedy is not putting a mirror up to it. It's speaking to us, right? And
Well, and
all
a
these
lot of
other
it was
things.
making fun of too, because it's like in a lot of comedies, it was the gay was like the wacky best friend, or like the butt of a joke, or the something to be afraid of, and that whole gay panic and everything. And I
For
think
sure.
like with horror, it's more of a stylized like wink almost.
Exactly. Yeah, 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 but yeah, I do love that within horror, no matter what, there is a an it like kind of forces an analysis of what is it that made this scary? What is it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with humor, you can be in my opinion, you can be a little more passive unless the humor is being explained to you. Like South Park is a really good example of being able to tell you all these things are jokes, and like, but they're telling you like this is a joke because we find this as a punchline funny, and this is a
Mhm.
joke because we find that people find this funny, the punchline, but
Yeah.
it has to be explained to you.
Right.
Whereas with horror, you have to kind of do the work yourself to understand it. And I
Yeah.
like that, right? Like I like it. Whether you agree with it or not is one thing, but
Yeah.
the it's this force like internal internal examination of it all. Sorry, that's my thing.
Oh
it also
no,
just
I
runs
fully
such
get it.
a well, it also just runs such, a spectrum. I also think that there's a lot of things that are similar about comedy and horror, and that a lot of it
Yes.
has to do with catharsis, right? We want to
Mhm.
Mhm.
feel a specific emotion. At the end of the day, we could consider the goal of horror is to make you feel scared. The goal of
Mhm.
comedy is to make you laugh. And that's why I love horror comedies where we
Yeah.
have a lot
Oh,
of that
yes.
overlap, where there are certain films that are genuinely terrifying, but at the same time there is
Yeah.
such good humor to it, and
Like
kind of like
Trick or
to Pablo's
Treat.
point. Exactly. And
Yeah.
Trick or Treat is so much fun. I
I fucking and
absolutely love
it's
that film.
scary, but it's so fucking funny. And I just
Oh, it's
remember
so fun.
we showed it to my roommate's girlfriend, and she's just like, why are they doing this? I don't get it." I said, "Because they're rules, and if you disobey them, you get shanked."
Yeah.
Basically.
Which I will say this, Paul, just real quick before I forget. I have an idea. We need to cover Psycho Beach Party. Like that is a
Oh my
Yes.
god, I love that
we need
movie.
to cover that. It is perfect all for
It's
us.
so
Horror,
good.
comedy, queer, all of it. We got to do it. Let's put it on
Yeah.
the list. I just
And
had
my
to say it.
100%. I love it. And one thing that is really cool, kind of like to that point, is like campy horror and like horror with
Yes.
like bad practical effects that are all intentional. I love
Mhm.
that type of humor, and that's one of the reasons I love Scream so much, is because it's a
Yeah.
lot of being in on the joke and kind of poking fun at yourself,
Yes.
but still finding those
Yeah.
moments where it's genuinely scary. And I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
comedy is best when, like, because you never want to punch down, you always want to punch up, and being able to
Yeah.
kind of also make fun of yourself. And
Yeah.
I did comedy for a long time on the side, and my material was always making fun of myself, but I've always been like that because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was bullied as a little kid, and I learned eventually, make fun of yourself before someone
Mhm.
else can, and kind of take
Yeah.
that power away from
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny because I did that, but I think I went in a different direction. Like I mean, I do that now with comedy or jokes or whatever, but I think I took that and it was sort of the Madonna school of thought, and I just became blatantly sexual, and it was just, and I still do it to this day. Like I do it to, it's a control thing. It's to disarm. It's to steer the conversation if it gets uncomfortable. It's like armor. It's just,
Yeah.
I wear my sexuality, and it's like it's like a defense mechanism. Like, what can I do? Let me just make like a naughty joke or like say some offlandish sexual remark, and then it stops everybody dead in their tracks, and they start talking about something else. So, and it's the same thing with using comedy. It's like you have to be one step ahead of your bullies, and then unfortunately you use it, in your adult life, and you don't necessarily need to, but you get trapped in those ways, I suppose. Yay, therapy.
Therapy, we're doing it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's really funny that there have been a lot of studies on like why do people like horror, and one of the things that they find is people who like horror are actually the most pacifist people.
Yeah.
They're fucked up like with the
Yeah.
things that they like, but they actually are pretty pacifist. Not, obviously there's outliers in everything, but I
Right.
find that really interesting.
Where's this
Paul,
going?
I
Oh
fucking
my
hate when he
God.
does that. I fucking hate it so much.
no, you
It's
don't. You
no,
love when I do my little voices.
no. Okay, you
So
can
for a
do that
minute
on
there,
our podcast. You can do that on our podcast. Please don't do this to Nick and Nick's listeners right now.
oh, it's
But
fine, whatever.
I'm
And
being my authentic selfies.
before you were doing a little baby voice when you're just moaning, it almost sounded like Eartha Kitt, but then you took it to a weird place. It's fine.
Well,
He does
some
it. He
people,
takes it
it's
to
not.
a weird place every time, and I
Is
love him for it.
is that your bedroom? Is that your bedroom voice? Is that how you talk to the boys?
No, my bedroom voice is boom. It's clobbering time, brother. And then
Oh my.
Chris hates it.
I I hate
He's like, stop.
I actually am kind of, I don't hate talking during sex, but I'm not the biggest fan. Just because like I don't know, I don't do role play very well, and my brain isn't always present during sex. So I'm always thinking about something else. And then somebody will
Mm.
always say something that'll just make me laugh because I have just the weirdest sense of humor. Like I have guys and they're like, "Do you like it when I call you daddy?" I'm like, "Absolutely not." And like
Yeah,
my
I think dirty talking can be fun, but I agree with you, Nick. It's like
yeah.
there are some times where it makes me laugh, and like there are certain things in my life that have been said to me in the bedroom that have just
Oh
kind of
yeah.
taken me out of it. Like one
Mhm.
time I was hooking up with this guy, and I was in my early 20s, and he was in his like mid 40s, and he was like, we're gonna get graphic here. He was like, I was on top of him, and he's like, feel it slide in your sphincter. And
Oh
I
my
was like,
God.
will you stop? I like broke character for a second. I was like, can we not use medical terms?
Oh my
Like,
God.
and I know that that's an outlier. People aren't usually using, like
No.
an
Yeah.
anatomy book to dirty talk. But
Yeah.
when
I
it's done right, it's fine.
Oh
But
yeah.
there's a lot of I make so many like sexual jokes and everything, and it's about things that I would do, things that I would never do in the bedroom. Like I say the
Mhm.
word pussy 55,000 times a day, but if I were to
I,
ever say to someone like "fuck me in the bussy," like
yeah. No. No.
unironically,
Yeah.
no thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, sex is, it's great. It feels great. I love it. I love connecting with my husband when we do it and all that stuff. But at the same time, there's also like you can't take it so seriously, right? Like there's all
Yeah.
Yeah,
this kind of stuff. So like like for me, if I'm gonna enjoy it, like I'm gonna have to like tease a little bit, tease me back. Like
Yeah.
let's do this. If you try to get too serious, I'm always like, what the fuck? But your story, Paul, reminded me like when I was like in my late 20s, I hooked up with this guy who was in his 40s, and I had seen him and lusted over him in porn, and I was like, oh my god, this guy's so hot. And then I like ran into him at the Eagle, and I was like, oh my god. And he was like, hey, and he was like, let's hook up. And I was like, great, let's do it. So we went back to his place, and in porn, he does porn stuff. So I was like expecting him to kind of be a little bit like his porn persona.
Oh
And
no.
like he's writing me and he's going,
Oh no. Oh
and
no.
curling like a cat or a
Oh
dog
my
that's
God.
like throwing up, and he's like, but
Wow.
it's I, I
Jesus
I
Christ.
was laughing and like holding his head up because I didn't want him to see me as he's
Oh
going.
my God. Oh,
Oh
great.
God.
Oh,
So
it
wait,
was the best.
was he a top or bottom?
Bottom.
Oh my God. Wow.
It was
You were
great.
that's because you
Fucking
were deep in
bottoms.
his
Just because
sphincter.
I was yep, deep. I was deep in both sphincters.
See, that kind of reminds me of the Cowardly Lion story. So I hooked up with this guy, and I call him Cowardly Lion because the way he sounded when I thrusted, he kind of did this like,
No.
and I was like, oh my God. And
Oh God.
I just wanted it to end, and I remember I was just trying to finish, and like, I came and I was like, oh, do you want to come? I'm trying to be nice. And he's like, yeah, and I'm like, okay. So like I'm giving him head and just giving him a hand job, and I'm like just, praying. I'm like, all right, let's do this. And as I'm trying to get him off, um, Denise Williams, Let's Hear It for the Boy comes on. Let's give the boy a
Wow.
hand. As I'm giving him a
Ha!
hand job, and it was like, oh my God,
Oh
I'm in
my God.
hell.
That's so
Perfect.
Yeah,
sex is so funny. I do agree with you, Pablo. Like you do need to be able to laugh. Like there are times where, Jess and I were very like the playfulness is there and like being able to laugh during and like when certain things happen, like absolutely.
Yeah.
I also agree with you. Or so I also at one point in my life slept with a very, very famous porn star. Right before they got
Ooh,
really, really famous, but I knew they were pretty famous. And I have to say, one of the worst of my life. And I was just
Um.
it
are
was
you
just
not
like
able to say?
Yeah.
I
Text me.
now
Here's the thing,
I don't
their
know what
job
we're gonna
is
be.
sex,
Yeah.
and you're
Did he
saying
did
they
he make
sucked
you
at it.
sign an NDA before you fuck him?
No, I'll text you after. But
Okay.
he was a Randy Blue exclusive, and then believe he
Oh.
is now still on men.com. So
Did he Randy blow you? Sorry.
no. The thing
Damn.
is everything. He was just a very selfish top. Like,
Oh yeah, no, we
and
hate that.
so it
Yeah.
was more like there was just like you know, and not the fun using you, like just
Yeah,
it was just kind of like I was just kind of there
I'm a
and it
holster.
wasn't interactive. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I just wasn't into that. And like it
Yeah,
was, but I mean, it was a late night. But it like I don't, I think I met him on Grinder. And then
hmm
after and I thought that he had looked familiar. And then after we hooked up, I was like, I was like getting ready. I was like, "So what do you do for a living?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm an exclusive porn star with Randy Blue." And I was like,
Oh my
"Wait,
God.
what?"
Wow, that's funny.
Damn. Well, and the thing is, like, when you live in San Francisco, like
Oh
every
yeah,
other person is a porn actor, right? There's so many that,
yeah,
like, you inevitably end up hooking with a few,
yeah.
um, and surprisingly, like, I think only one have I been like, oh, like one is memorable because he was like, hey, the whole time. But like, I've like the many that I've hooked up with, like, only one have I been like, oh, that's talent. Everyone else have been like, hmm,
Mm.
that's, I would give you a 2-star review on Yelp.
Oh my
Like,
God.
that's all it is, right? But good job, you guys. Yeah.
So I just read your message, and I don't know who that is, and I'll have to look him up.
Okay.
I don't think I've been with a porn star, but who knows? I don't know. I'm always afraid that I'm going to accidentally turn into one because sometimes when I hook up with guys, I'm like, please tell me that they're not recording.
Oh, they shouldn't be.
No, I know, but I
Like,
know some do. I did have a guy that I was sleeping with that like recorded a little bit. And he put some on Scruff without telling me, and I was livid. But like,
no,
you couldn't see
yeah,
my face,
no.
but like, it was obvious it was me. Like, you could see all my tattoos. Like, I have so many tattoos that there's no way I could do porn unless I wore a bodysuit. So yeah, because
No.
they're everywhere. My hands, my neck, my sides, my
Yeah.
ass.
I yeah, I had someone try to accuse me of doing porn once. Like I had
hmm
an ex who kind of had fallen off the wagon when when I was like on a trip, and he was like accusing me of doing porn, and he was like, "Look, this is you," and I was like, first of all, that person has no tattoos, so even if it was me, it would have been way before I even met you.
Right.
No tattoos. I have tattoos on my arms, my legs, my chest, my stomach, my back, everything. Like,
She is
Yeah.
tatted up.
yeah, I was like,
I love it. I love it.
how can you even try to accuse me of something? Come on.
She's a tatty daddy.
Yep. I just got a new one too. It's a bearded pinup.
Oh my god, that's
She's so
amazing.
cute. Yeah, she's so cute. She's
Really
modeled after she's modeled after my friend Beefcakes.
I love that. I have a
So she's so
pinup
cute.
boy tattoo. It's a merman,
Ooh.
and underneath
Oh yeah.
it's like the it says El Sereno.
Oh cute.
You know,
I
the
got
siren.
yeah. I got Jason Voorhees, gay
Oh,
pinup version of Jason Voorhees, and a
I
gay
love
pinup
that.
version of Chatterer from Hellraiser.
That's amazing.
They're my faves. They're so cute. I love them.
It's hard to say. Like, I mean, there it is. It's hard to say what my favorite tattoo is. I have a Madonna portrait that I love, but I have a Frida Kahlo tattoo, and I have Carrie
cool.
Fisher and
Oh damn.
Basquiat and Keith Haring and everywhere. And I have bats and ghosts and pumpkins, and I have a little candy corn that has little vampire fangs.
Oh, that's cute.
That's cute.
It's on my hip. It's funny because all my edible things are down below. Apparently, I have a jack-o'-lantern on one hip. I have a candy corn on the other hip, and then I have a blue peach on my ass. Well, that's
I mean,
it's
it's
because
subconsciously you're trying to tell them something.
yeah. Well, the blue peach too is because Georgia went blue for a minute,
Yep.
and then it was a
Yep.
runoff election, and so they had a fundraiser. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna get that on my arm and my leg. And I walked into the tattoo shop, and I was like, you're getting it on your ass.
Damn.
That's amazing.
So I could never do porn unless I really wanted everybody to know, because that's like trademark. It's my calling card. You've been peached.
You've been peeved.
Wow.
That's so good.
I do have one more awful sex story to share, because why not?
Let's do it.
Let's hear it.
So, well, I mean, talking about like people saying things that are just like make you laugh during sex. This guy I hooked up with at Motel 6, and I don't even remember his name, and I just call him Motel 6. First of all, he was using, those like office binder clips that are like the black triangles with the hinges.
Yes.
Oh, ew.
Yes.
I know where this is going.
Yes.
Yeah, he was using those as impromptu nipple clamps.
Oh.
And I was
my
just like,
God.
ow.
Oh
I'm
my-
not even into nipple play. I kind of hate it when people pinch them. They used to be pierced and they're sensitive. But
Yeah.
that's a lot.
That's
a lot.
That's disgusting. Okay.
And so, we're fucking, and for some reason I remember that the TV was on, and it was like, I think it was Gladiator that was on, or either that or 300 something. It was, I don't know. But at one point, I'm fucking him, and he just goes, "Oh yeah, baby, tear that pussy up." And I just lost it and turned my head, and I just started giggling. I was like, this is terrible. I cannot.
That is a lot. That
And
I wouldn't be able.
I
wouldn't be able to
don't.
handle that.
I'm not freaked out about, pussy or vagina. I think pussy is funny, but it's like if I'm cock deep in an ass, I don't want to be thinking about pussy. It's
Yeah.
like, no. There's a time and a place.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And
Yeah. I'm not really like a talker. Like if someone's like, "Oh yeah, that feels good," or like harder or slower, or like
yeah, I'm just like, fuck
direct
yeah,
me a
or,
little bit.
yeah,
Fuck
to
yeah,
the
like
left.
that. But like, yeah, to the left, to the
Do
left.
that
Everything
swervy
you want is
thing.
in the box to the left because you suck. But like like that's fine. But like, don't fucking try to like
Deliver
if
a
you
monologue.
deliver this monologue or like try to set mood through verbiage. Like,
To fuck or
excuse
not to
me.
fuck.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, I'm good. I also hate the word cock. I don't think it sounds sexual. I don't think it sounds sexy. Some people are like, oh yeah,
Do you
can I
like
suck?
penis
I'm like, don't.
or dick? What do you like?
Dick. Just say
Willie.
like I would rather someone say, "Can I suck your wee wee?" Like I had an ex
Ew.
who would do that.
That
I
sounds
I
like
had an
that
ex.
sounds like a little baby boy. No.
Yeah, but okay. So I
Ugh.
I I have this I have this ex who's absolutely lovely. I still love him.
Mhm.
He does porn. He actually is
Oh
good
my
in bed,
God, what is it
and
with
he's
you guys
very.
fucking porn stars?
I don't know, but he's wonderful.
We
He's
have a
lovely,
type.
but
I
yeah,
guess.
but like his one of the things that was really funny is he was very also like during sex he was very like he was great, like we really
Hmm.
enjoyed it, but he was also kind of silly. So he
Yeah.
would say things like he'd, he'd be getting into him. He's like, "Hell yeah, suck my wee wee," and they would just come out like that, and we
Oh
would
my
laugh our
God.
ass off, and then we were good, right? Like I just love that shit. Like
Oh,
that's so
that's
Oh my
funny.
cute.
God.
Yeah, and so I love him. Hopefully, we have him on the podcast soon.
Oh.
So yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
just
that's all.
not a lot of talk. I don't know. Um,
Yeah,
I do always
not a lot.
joke around about like I thought about doing comedy once or twice, and I'm like, yeah. But
You
I think,
should.
well, I would just talk about my sex life because that's the only funny thing about my life.
That's what
That's what a lot.
that's what a lot
Yeah,
of my stand-up was. I did a whole bit on and acting out how to trying to take a picture of your butthole.
it's not easy.
Oh wow.
No.
Well, and
No.
especially if you're a top, because the thing is like I'm, for all intents and purposes, I'm verse, I guess. But
Okay.
some
Bottom. I'm just kidding.
no, so many guys don't know what they're doing. That's the problem. So like I was like, fuck it, I'll drive. So like I'm a top now, and
Fuck it, I'll try.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm thinking of stories. So when I worked at Sears, I worked at the jewelry department, and I worked with a bunch of older women. I was dating this guy who may as well have been a porn star, but he was a self-proclaimed power bottom. And at the time, I didn't really know what that was. So I was like, okay, explain. And then he did, and so like I was telling my coworkers um, that he was a power bottom, and they're like, "What is that?" And I told them, and one of my coworkers just looked at me and was like, "That's like a backseat driver." It
Oh
is.
my
Okay,
god.
that's good.
It
That is
That's
is.
good.
good.
And she didn't have a Minnesota accent, but it just makes it funnier to tell it that way. But yeah, it's like, so that will always live in my head rent free. Is the best definition of a power bottom.
Is a backstreet driver. That's perfect.
Yeah. It's
That's what
weird
you
though.
want.
Power bottoms are a wild breed. I mean,
I mean, are you,
God love
Paul?
them. Huh?
I'm not a power bottom.
Oh, you're not?
No, I'm
It's
just
just,
I'm
it's
just
intense.
bitchy.
You're just bitchy.
Oh, just bitchy.
I don't know. Like, it's fine, but sometimes, like, I feel like I need, like, to go to the infirmary after being with the power bottom.
Oh shit.
It just whenever I think of power bottoms, I always think of that scene in Scary Movie
Oh, God.
where Anna
Oh,
Faris
with the
is like riding him
oh,
and she's like, more, more, more. And like the house shakes. Like
yeah,
that's what I always think of when I think of power bottom.
pretty much. It's kind of intense. I'm just like, it's like, do you want to drive? I didn't think so. Okay, let me drive a little bit. I'm gonna do this. I got this.
Like
I don't know.
let
I
me
mean,
be the.
I appreciate it because, a lot of times bottoms do the work in prep and then tops do a lot of the work in the actual act. I mean, that's not
Yes.
always the case, but, God love a bottom because, that's a lot.
Doing the
Of,
Lord's work.
yeah. Yeah. I'm actually
Well, I
talking.
mean, I
Oh,
think
sorry.
there are some tops that are lazy. You know,
100%.
I can't be a lazy top unless, like, I'm not into the guy and then I'm just like, whatever. You just fucking, yeah, you want
yeah.
to ride it?
It's
Okay,
like,
cool.
yeah, and then you're like, you know what? Just turn around. Let me put my computer on your on your back because I have to finish editing this
I gotta finish
paper.
my taxes.
Gotta finish my tax. Do you know what this means? How much is my deduction again? Like that would be fucking brilliant.
God, that needs to happen. I mean, that's sad
I know.
if you're having sex like that and it's that boring. I mean, I think we've all had pretty boring, awful sex.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Because
100%.
it's
But
like oh, sorry, go.
the good thing about awful sex sometimes though, and I always kind of lived my life this way, is like it's a good story. Like there have been times
Oh
where
yeah.
like I've walked out of a
Yes.
hookup and immediately like texted my friends and be like, "Bitch, you don't, you're not gonna believe what just fucking happened."
Yeah. Yeah. Far
That's
too
always
many
fun.
women.
Well, yeah. They because I usually don't tell people about like my good sex stories, right? Or like my
Yeah,
average sex because I'm like most of it I'm like, you know what like I'm actually even not one that really talks about my sex life. Like I mentioned a little bit here, but it's like I'm going to give you the outliers, the things that really stick out. You know, I do
exactly.
have friends that are very open about their sex life, and I'm like, you know what? That's between you and like whoever, right? Like I love you and like I'm here for it. And if you know you tell me you're gonna hook up with someone, hell yeah, go do it. And if you tell me you had a good time, great. I don't need to know the details. Don't really care, right?
I don't need the blow by blow.
Yeah,
But
exactly. But yeah, I do not need that. But then the same is true. I'm not going to tell you all my stuff, but I am going to be like,
yeah,
oh, you know, someone did this, or like I love putting on like fucking crazy horror films and having it on, right? And like that's fun for me. That you know,
that's
like give me fucking Terrifier as we're having sex. Like that's a lot. That's a good time.
that's
You know,
wild.
like,
I don't think I've
yeah.
ever. I'm one of those. I don't really like. I know a lot of people put porn on during sex. I don't. I don't need it, and I don't really. I don't know why. It's just like I always feel kind of offended when a guy throws a porn on. I'm like, I'm right here. Does this
I
not do
kind
it
of
for you?
I kind of feel the same way. It's weird. And then I feel like I'm in at like Steamworks or something with like porn
Yeah.
playing in the background. And it's just, I'd
Well, then
rather like put
it
on
takes
some
you
Nora
out of the
Jones.
moment. Oh God, Nora Jones.
Yes,
Kidding. I'm
Oh,
kidding.
some Nora Jones.
oh my
Okay.
God.
One of my
Um.
boyfriends in college, the first time we hooked up, I just played what was on my like iTunes or whatever, and it was like John Mayer and Jack Johnson. And
Oh.
afterwards they were like, we need to create a different playlist
Yes.
for you to play
Oh
because
my
I
God.
can't with John Mayer and Jack Johnson.
Yeah, I was fucking this guy who had John Mayer on, and like I'm just getting into it. And all of a sudden, it's just like, fathers be good to your daughter. I'm like, no,
Oh
no.
my God.
That was
Yeah,
yeah.
that
Mm-mm.
I'll say this. One of the things that really does kill it is if you're hooking up with someone and they have terrible taste in music.
Oh yeah. Like
And you're like, oh,
back in the day when like you used to have those like CD players that would shuffle. I had one of those that like had like the 50 CDs or whatever, and like I just let it shuffle during sex one time, and it was fine at first. It was like Portishead and Bjork, and I'm like, cool, this is good. And then Hanky Panky came on, and I was like, nope, I love
ah,
Madonna, but no, I cannot. It's just
The
too.
soundtrack to
Mm-mm.
Hello Dolly comes on.
Oh my God!
right.
Don't
Oh
rain
my
on
God.
my face. No,
Shh.
I don't know.
Oh my
Yeah, it's funny.
God.
I'm actually listening to Barbara's book.
Tears in Heaven should be the the song
Oh
that
my
everyone listens to
God.
when they have sex.
Oh.
Tears in Heaven. I know that's sad. Sad.
Uh, but great hookup song.
Great hookup song, right? We're all crying at
Top
the
tier.
end.
I actually have playlists that I make for the sexy time, and they're all different depending on and some stuff too is like you're in the mood and you think it's a good one, but then you're actually like getting down to business and you're like, nope, mm-mm.
Well, I mean, I just start thinking of songs like that I would funnily like put on my like sex playlist and like from high school, the songs Pretty Ricky, Grind on Me, and like T-Pain like
Oh
Buy
my
You a
God,
Drink and
Oh my
like
God.
wow.
and Birthday Sex. Not the Rihanna one. It's
Oh yeah.
I can't remember the
Yeah.
one's like Birthday Sex.
Yes.
Well, it's
I'll usually put on like trip hop, like some
I
Massive
fucking
Attack
love
and stuff
trip
like that.
hop so much. I love
Yeah.
trip
Yeah,
hop.
it's so good. Like for me it's so good because it's not you're not getting too distracted with lyrics. There's
Mm-hmm.
also it's sets like a good mood, but it's not like, you know, like cuz like if someone's like playing like dance pop, I'm like, okay, this is going kind of fast and I feel like, you know, like
Yeah.
I have to keep up with this. I can't necessarily do that. And if they
You're doing
if they
choreo. You find yourself doing choreo.
for real.
You're like
I'm like I have
fucking.
to do fucking burpees to like
Oh
keep
my
up with
God.
this. Like I can't do that.
Slave for You comes on. You're like, get it, get it, get it. I'm like, wait, stop.
Get it, get it. Yes. So like trip hop to me is like pretty good. Like I'll maybe even
Hmm.
like Thievery Corporation. I'm like it's nothing
Oh yes,
crazy. So yeah.
yes, or Tricky, or
Yes.
um, everything but the girl is kind of trip hopish. Some of it.
Yeah, yeah. They have some good stuff. Right.
Um,
But like I'm not putting on Bjork as much as I love Bjork.
oh
Not
no,
doing
I think certain albums, like the first three, and then the rest, she just kind of lost me.
yeah.
But Homogenic, very much so. Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. Favorite album, that would be good time. And I did go for a moment there where it's like I wouldn't have sex to Madonna stuff because it felt weird, but I was like, yeah, it's fine. I'll throw on some erotica every now and then. Give the kids what
Yeah.
they want.
Ooh.
Give the
Justify my
kids
love.
what they want.
Justify My Love
That's
is
funny.
so that's a sexy song, and that video. I just remember I bought that. They didn't even card me because I was so underage. Because I was 90, so I was, how the fuck old was I? I can do math. Um,
Like 12.
yes, yes, yes. I was 12. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You did it for me.
Yep.
So
I
it was
like that.
it was very interesting, like seeing that. And it's funny because like my whole sexual awakening was through Madonna because I was raised Baptist. I was not taught the
Mm,
birds and the bees. Um, my mom didn't feel comfortable with me being in school when they had the sex talk. So
mm.
all I learned about sex was through Madonna. And I just remember seeing the sex book and the erotica video and going, what is happening? Because I had never seen stuff like that. I didn't know anything about like bondage or S&M. That was just wild. Like it freaked me out at first. I mean, now
Yes.
I like the look of it. I'm not that kinky. I feel like I should be, but
Mm,
Fair enough.
be as kinky as you want to be.
yeah, I know. Like last night, I hooked up with some guy, and he's like, "I thought you were kinky," and I'm like, "Not really." He's like, "You seem like you'd be." I'm like, "Tattoos and like all black? Is
Well,
that what I don't know?"
Pe-
you
people
should
take such yeah.
you need to whip out your binder clips.
Oh God, oh my God, I still have weird reactions when I see them. And
Oh my god.
I need to pull it out and read it. I had a live journal a long time ago, and I wrote like it was some creative writing contest, and I wrote about that, and it was one of the more brilliant things that I've ever written. And
Oh
Amazing.
god.
it's just amusing to me. But yeah, uh, I don't know. It is interesting to me when people. I mean, it's resourceful because you're being quick on your feet, and you're using things. You're being like all MacGyver about it,
Yeah, for sure.
or MacGyver.
McGaver. I'm not kinky. I don't think I have like a couple random like fetishes, but I'm not like I'm not, you don't need to fucking tie me up. You don't need to like eviscerate
Yeah,
my leg. Like you don't need to do shit to me. Like
that's
I
right,
am
my
just
leg.
like yeah, like just like whatever. We're good. I enjoy this. I for me like I like to just enjoy the person. But a lot of people think I'm very and I'm with you on this like it's a tattoo thing and I'm like
Yeah, because
they're like, "Well, I
you
thought
get
you liked
tattoos of
pain." And I was
pain.
like, "What?"
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, "No." I was like, "Mm-mm." I watched The Real Housewives. That's not like what makes you think I'm kinky? Like,
That's the only pain that I want is seeing my
yeah,
sisters drink and
I
cry.
know. Be treated poorly.
Yeah. I mean, I look very vanilla and I am. So,
Oh, I always say like I'm like
Yes.
either vanilla spice or pumpkin spice. Like I'm not boring, but I mean I definitely
oh yeah.
I'm curious, and I will dip a toe in uncharted territory to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have like there's the holy four that I will never, never, never. And one of them's up for discussion because it's just more of a uncomfortable. Like I'm not wild about fisting, but teach their own.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I've had a lot of guys want me to, and I'm like, I have nails. That's not gonna happen. I'm sorry.
I have
That will
nails.
not feel
Not
good.
gonna
So no fisting. I don't need to know what a muppet feels like. Um,
Yeah. Yes.
um,
Yeah.
no necrophilia, no pedophilia, no bestiality, and everything pretty much else is fair game.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, I've tried like blood play, I've tried scat play, and it's not for me.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
doing it.
same.
And like piss play, it's not for me. But like I
No,
was very young and it's one of those, you know what? We're here. I
yeah,
don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I guess. Oh, you know
yeah,
what? And I was like, I knew I didn't want to do it, but
right.
I confirmed it.
And it's weird. I'm very pee shy, so like my ex wanted me to, and I was like, okay, I guess. And I just drank a lot of beer, and then I tried in the shower, and then he kept like touching me, and I was like, I cannot pee if you make me hard. This I cannot do, and also I'm having a hard time doing it. So if you'd like me to do this that you asked for, just
Yeah.
let me concentrate.
Yeah, I've
So
never been. Yeah, I mean, I like to have fun, and I definitely like to have. Will dip my toe here and there, but I've never done any, any of that, and I totally respect people who want to, participate in, like, water sports and all of that. It's just not for me, but I think that's the whole purpose of it, of like, we're all allowed to be into what we're into, and
Yes.
yeah.
the whole point is to find who, matches up
Hmm.
with you on that. Like, I agree. Like, I can't handle like people that are just like totally vanilla, just missionary, like very kind
Yeah.
of Mormon in the bedroom.
Hmm.
That's too much. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I think vanilla spice is the best way to 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 describe it.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Because it's I can't stand. I mean, the talking is kind of weird sometimes, but when they don't make any sound and you don't know if they're enjoying it, and you're like, oh, is that good? And then it's like they just nod their head, or like, you don't know if they come or not. They're just very quiet, and that's just weird to me. Like, you're supposed to be having a good time.
Yeah.
Then you're just doing all this work to try and, like, is this okay? And they're just kind of
Well,
laying there, and you're like, okay, I said no necrophilia.
no necrophilia. Take your great grandma's head out of here.
I need to know that you're fucking alive.
Bring
Right?
me my cake, Delia. Yeah, what's Delia, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know. Creep
I
show.
don't know.
Um,
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
yes, yes. uh, I don't know, but yeah, it is. I always call it like the sex buffet. It's just like you pick and choose, and you're just like, I want some of this, I want a little bit more of that, I don't want any of that. That's not my thing. And so, I mean, that's how I did growing up, because it's like I pretended for a long time because I was raised religious. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll try the girl thing. And, I it was fine, but it wasn't like my first choice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But definitely, like, you go through figuring out what you like and what you don't. And then
Yeah.
I once you get older, you kind of finesse it, and it's easy.
For
But
sure.
it sucks. Like, it would be nice to just have that one partner someday. And because of like meeting new guys and then having to go into, what are you into? I'm like, okay. It's
And
like,
then you
let
have
me
to
just,
go through all this stuff. Yeah, you have to
uh
figure
huh.
it all out. No.
Yeah. And what is the deal with everybody wanting to know your size? Like, I tell people, I'm just like, I haven't measured since high school. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no. Same. I'm like, I don't know I surpassed the ruler like years ago. Like I
Yeah.
don't know. Just
I
kidding.
don't know.
Well,
I'm like, all I know is it's a good time, and I've not had a complaint. So
Right.
I
I want
do
to know
wish,
the people that know their width. That when people will give you the size and they'll say like, 6 inches around, and I'm like, you
yeah.
literally took out like a tailor's like
Uh huh.
tape measure
Right.
Yeah.
and measured
Yeah.
your circumference.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, and it's just weird because I know, like, it's different depending on, your anatomy, and it's also different depending on, like, your size, their size, and sometimes it doesn't always line up. Like, sometimes the people with the curved ones, it's kind of like acrobatic, like Cirque du Soleil a little bit. Um,
Yeah. Well, and then yeah, like everything's going to be different. Do you want something? Yeah, like penis size is
yeah.
interesting. I think we put too much emphasis on the penis, and it's
Hmm.
like, like we have too much value and we define too much of the experience of the person and what, you know, we put too much on like what the penis says about them, when
Yeah.
reality, some of the bigger ones that I've had have been like, this is not memorable.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like what has always been memorable has never been like, yes, I've had some where I'm like, wow, like, it was very big and I got high-fived for taking it. And I'm like, it's like I'm all fucking wrecked, like, I look like fucking the doll Megan after she kills that kid and like
Oh
rolls
my
through the
God.
thing. And
Oh
she
my
gets up
fucking
and her hair's
God.
all messed up and I'm like, thanks. Um, but I'm always like, oh my God, who fucking cares? Like the reality is,
Yeah.
who cares? There's so much more that makes this experience, like this
Yeah.
sexual experience, fun, right?
Yeah.
Like I hooked up with a guy who had like a very, very tiny penis, and he was really self-conscious about it. But I was like, you know what? You're super hot. I love seeing you naked. Like, we're gonna have fun. Don't worry about it. We had a great time, and like that's all that matters. And I
Mm,
felt bad that people made him feel bad about it. And I
Now,
was
are we
like, you
talking like
should.
micro penis or?
A little bit bigger,
I've
but for the
Oh,
encountered
okay.
most
I've
part,
encountered
but
those in the
like
wild.
Yeah.
for the most part, yeah, he was actually kind of like really, he didn't really hook up. Like he had a lot of, and if he would be like just through my clothes because he was like very
Yeah.
self-conscious about it. And I was like, dude, it's not that big of a deal. Like
Yeah.
for me, it's not like, if you're uncomfortable, then fine. I will, I won't do anything to make you feel uncomfortable.
Well,
But
and it also makes the sex not that great if they're uncomfortable and like you're just.
exactly, I'm not trying to force them to be vulnerable with me. I'm just like, just have fun, do whatever you want. I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think, yeah,
Cool.
people place too much importance and value on it, and that's just. It's sometimes I like a smaller one because it's I have a really awful gag reflex, and so I actually appreciate a smaller one.
yeah, yeah, right.
And I always joke around with my doctor because they're always like, "Oh, we should take your tonsils out," and I was like, "I wish you would. It'd be a lot more popular." Yeah,
Wow.
I
In my
know, and
stand-up, I used to say, I date a lot, and it's easy to in San Francisco when you have an iPhone and no gag reflex.
Yeah, I've seen that.
oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
always I always marvel at people that just don't have one. I mean, like they do the strep test, the little culture thing, and like I warn them, I'm like, I may vomit on you. I'm gonna try not to, but it's just like I sometimes even can think about it, and I'm like, So yeah, it's not. But I don't think I want them taken out as an adult because I think that would be horrible. I've heard horror stories.
Yeah, I had a friend who just had it taken out, and it sucks for him
Yeah,
right
I mean,
now. But
I'll just keep them. It's fine. I mean, I
right.
don't, I don't even really. I mean, that's not my favorite thing to do anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm more into other things. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I have to kind of jet right now. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. I mean, it's been an hour and a half, so I mean, it's
Yeah,
it's
look at
been
us. Just
it's
chatty
been an,
Cathy.
I know it's been really fun. I've enjoyed it. It's been my first podcast threesome.
Oh, what?
Ooh.
Ooh.
I mean, I did
Well,
have a
thank
group
you.
once, but we were in the same room, so I
Oh,
guess
kind
that
of.
counts.
It does. It does.
A virtual three-way.
It's
Yes,
fun.
I
I
love
love
it.
it.
No, it's fun. I'm really glad that you guys came on and
Thank you.
keep doing what
Yeah.
you're doing. And well, I'll see you on the internet.
We'll
All
see
right.
you there.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much,
All
Dick.
right. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.